Hello everyone, just getting everything set up. This will be my very first time streaming a game after watching so much of this great content. I decided I'd chip in and volunteer whenever needed. And it looks like today I may be needed to cover this very exciting top 16 game between Jokingly on Crab Splash Lion, which is becoming increasingly popular but still a bit spicy and interesting, and Fleepa on Phoenix Scorpion, which is definitely spicy if not fiery. Um, so should be a good one. We'll see how the Crab Lion is able to match up, maybe perhaps a little better than the Unicorn Splash on Crab. Should be a really good match, though. I'm not entirely sure who's favored in this one, actually. Okay, looks like we're about to kick off. Threw the decks up pretty quick. I can go back to them if there's a lull in the game to show people. Like I said, it's Phoenix with the Scorpion Splash and um, Jokingly's on Crab with Lion Splash. Ready for battle. Some Aegis Crones and some Vengeful Oathkeepers in there, which is surprising. When I used to play Lion, I'd cut Vengeful Oathkeepers myself, but it's probably a mistake. I don't have the stream up to um, check because of the echo, but so comment wise, let me see if I can get that working. So looks like we got 3 mulligans from Fleepa on the Dynasty side as well as Jokingly. So it looks like they saw one thing they liked and went fishing for other stuff. Pretty decent flops from both sides. It's always good to get a keeper as Crab. I think it's Initiate. I think it's nowadays good to get a keeper as any keeper role because really that's one of your advantages over not getting that Fate as Seeker and the stronger Province lineup. So you want to see them early. If you don't see them in the game at all, I think your role is a disadvantage to you. So you buy his Intimidating Hida with 2 Fate, which should put some pressure onto, I think, what the Phoenix player is looking to do, which is be a more defensive clan. So a little bit of honor pressure there if he wants to play mostly defensively and usually skip a conflict or two in the first couple turns. Got some extra draw for both players. Funeral Pyre, not always seen in Crab, but still definitely a good holding, and an Imperial Storehouse on the other side. So let's see what the draw phase is. If it's Dishonor Phoenix, he might look to go with 1 out the gate, but I don't know if he has the tools set to do that. But yeah, he does, and I think Jokingly was ready for that. He bids 2, and Fleepa pulls out with 1. He's got Shujisuki and Funeral Pyre for additional card draws, so that was a heads-up play on what this Phoenix deck is looking to do, I think. And put a lot of dishonor pressure on the opponent while getting its own supplemental card draw with Forgotten Library, storehouses, etc. But Jokingly's set up his own extra card draw and only lost 1 honor there. So see what we can do because he has a substantially higher dynasty investment. So see what he can do with this first turn to turn that into some broken provinces, or at least very impactful rings. Looks like we're going Intimidating Hida, Fire, into Shameful Display. Unfortunately, of course, Shameful Display. I won't be so harsh on the Hida, but certainly will pump that Suki up considerably. Although she has a way of honoring herself regardless. So her getting onward by Shameful Display is really just shortcutting the matter. Of course, Phoenix Box is going to make this a difficult conflict to win now because of because of Shameful Display. Any other province would have certainly have made it a lot easier. We'll see if Fleepa has a conflict character or something to defend against the second conflict or initiate his own conflict. Looks fairly certain that he's going to end up losing something to that intimidating Hida, though, I would imagine. At this point, not a big deal, 1 honor, but it will add up eventually. Okay, so yeah, if there's anything wrong with the audio, obviously I can't ask you if you can hear me or not. Let me know, or anything wrong with the stream, and I'll try to fix it. Like I said, this is one of my first times, so hopefully this is all going to work out because everyone loves watching these games. They're always great, well played, interesting games, and yeah, definitely happy to add to the library for this season. Okay, so we have a bonsai from Jokingly with the kicker in an attempt to actually get through and break that province. But a Fate Worse of Death sends him home, which is, of course, a very powerful play. But Jokingly counters it fairly well with a Ready for Battle, plus the fact that the Hida is a 3-cost character. Yes, he invested into that bonsai, which is unfortunate, making it sort of a card neutral play between the two players, but the 4 Fate investment for the Hida to still be on the board and usable for the next 2 conflicts, or sorry, next conflict this round and next turn, I think make that a Fate positive swing for Jokingly, because 4 Fate is still a big investment, especially for first turn, and for Jokingly to still have 2 standing characters after that is pretty strong, as well as having a used Shameful Display and the ability to attack and break it politically if Fleepa is not able to do anything to stop it, which he very well at this point might have something, but it's just further investment on his side. Plus he left off Earth as a possible ring to get. It looks like he's gonna take even stronger board control here and go for the Void instead of popping up that Keeper. That can wait for future rounds. Let's see, does Fleepa have anything to stop this? In Phoenix, I think he would need a conflict character. Sorry, I didn't catch if he used the box to reduce the Hida or to pump up Suki. If he reduced Hida, it obviously would have helped here, but it doesn't look like it. We see the Display of Power come out in order to flip that board around, and looks like Suki will be staying around and Crab will be losing their board instead, including their Dishonored character, so a little bit more Dishonored pressure. Funeral Pyre used to pop a card, so Crab has actually managed to have stabilized their armor pretty well and still has a 2-card advantage here. But we have an Honored Suki on the field for next round and equal fate. So 1 broken province though. So things are looking pretty equal. I mean, Imperial Favor goes to. Wait a second. How does Imperial Favor? Oh, the displays. Yeah, the Display of Power. Right. Imperial Favor is over to the Phoenix. So Phoenix has Imperial Favor, an Honored Suki, and only 1 broken province. So things are roughly equal, board state wise, card, everything. It's really close to call. On the flip, not a great flip for Jokingly. I think as a Crab player, it's not the best thing to see. Sure, the Heated Guardian with the holding is a strong 1-drop, but 2 Vanguard Warriors and nothing to really put their fate on. Not great, and not nearly as good as having a Prodigy of Waves pop up for free. It's a good thing he's not a scholar, thankfully, so he's not going to get honored by Suki, and Suki's already honored, but got plenty of water synergy there to cause some damage, plus a Forgotten Library. So the Phoenix second turn flop was certainly a stronger one. So 2 Vanguard Warriors come out. I wonder if he's going to put one onto the other, if he's going to. I probably putting them both onto the Heated Guardian at the end of the turn. I'm interested to see what Jokingly does. He does have Vengeful Oathkeeper as a significant ish type conflict character. You can put them on, especially if he loses doesn't defend and loses a military conflict. So we'll just see how that goes. He also probably just looking for bodies on the board, but Vanguard Warrior certainly its action is as strong as its stats. So you want to try to use that as much as possible. So we're going to the bids now. Forgotten Library pumping in a card. Oh, did I miss the bids? Sorry, bids were 1-1. As again, this Dishonor Phoenix, when you're going against it, very quickly devolves down to 1-1 bids. So I'm sure Joking is looking for as much alternative card draw as he can find along the way. So it looks like we're headed into Meditation on the Tau, which is a good find for Fleepa. Obviously having no effect on that Suki, and Suki honored with the box is going to require some sort of defense unless he wants this broken. We see a 2-character defense. Obviously the Hedon Guardian goes in, he has to have a partner. So the 2-character defense on a contested water ring, which means he has to win this or his board's going to get bowed out. If the other Vanguard Warrior is not coming. So he must have something in hand which gives him some confidence that he's going to win. Jokingly, that is. Or ready for battle, I guess. A second ready for battle to put the Vanguard back. But not, I mean, Vanguard Warrior as stats, not the most impactful use of your limited ready for battles. So the attacker is winning. I don't know if he wants to go for the break here or not. Typically, from what I've seen in this deck, it's not it's not its main game plan is going for the breaks, although certainly it helps put pressure on the opponent. And Meditations is a decent enough province to just farm rings off of, if a bit awkward. And the Crab province lineup is kind of has a few of those spots where you can farm rings off. Certainly if he has Defend the Wall, another decent one, as long as there's no significant blockers left. So we'll see what Phoenix wants to do. So the box is used to try to win the conflict. A Seeker of Knowledge drops in, I suppose, to enable possible air ring, or maybe just for the stats. I would imagine for the Prodigy that he wants that air ring claimed by someone. So interestingly, and possibly an oversight, it's very easy to do, especially with 2-cost conflict characters, to automatically drop them in for Fate, with Fate on them, just because you want to save your investment. And you I certainly have done it many times, forgot that Meditations is still live. Then you dodge that bullet by attacking with a character with no Fate on it. Or alternatively, Fleepa could be looking ahead and just want to attack Meditations with his Prodigy, and willing to sacrifice a Fate from his pool to not have it taken from the Prodigy, which is legitimate. So I imagine Fleepa's deciding between Air Ring and Water Ring, because I didn't see a second ready for battle played, and there's no bowed character from off the Water Ring. Did he? Yes, he resolved it as an Air Ring instead of the Water Ring, continuing that dishonor pressure. And it is, I know, jokingly has done a good job keeping his bids low, and looking for supplemental card draw. And he's down to 6 here on turn 2. So, still not in the danger zone by any means, but the trajectory is in the wrong direction for him. He's probably going to want to pick up some along the way. There is a natural air ring to still be contested, but with a keeper in the bin and card draw becoming at a premium very quickly, Earth Ring is very strong attack here to the public forum, which Fleepa lets quote-unquote break. Forgotten Library on public forum is very nice, enabling the use of Forgotten Library for at least 2 turns, which is, again, free draw, card draw, very important with these bid situations. So Keeper comes out for potential block, and now that the meditation was used on the Seeker, Prodigy's free to attack it. So coming in military, pretty wise. Getting your Prodigy court games is never fun if you can't counter it, and reduces that character, that very excellent character, substantially in its usefulness. So we'll see if Jokingly has an answer to this in the form of a bonsai, or maybe he's just getting in the way to avoid a possible break. Although I'm not sure Meditations is the, especially with what the Phoenix deck wants to do, which is not necessarily Conquest's main game plan. I don't think giving up a province is that terrible to it. Of course, what is the Keeper really going to do? Because the Prodigy is going to stand again, and the Keeper's attack is not going to be particularly useful, and there's no fate on rings, so certainly defense makes some sense. And with the Phoenix box, Keeper couldn't even really stand for favor. So Jokingly is deciding between defense or no defense. Probably there's a lot of different things to consider here with a character that can stand again. What's in your hand in terms of how powerful of a political conflict you could do, back into a defending Keeper, etc. I mean, defending Prodigy of the Waves. Yeah, Fate Phase Wave, the Crab, talking about, would be great and would be classic Crab. And he's got the 2 Vanguard Warriors, so yeah, actually, that's a really good idea. Oh, he had the Oathkeeper in hand. So he took the loss and not the break on the Meditations, enabling him to get 2 characters out. Still only 2 political strength, which is not going to be able to win a ring against that Prodigy of the Waves plus favor. So we'll see if there's a court games buff or something like that to equalize it. But yeah, Fate Phase Way of the Crab would be quite strong. We'll see if Fleepa has Censures. I'd have to check his deck list. I'm not sure that he has them. It's popular for Phoenix for sure, given how easy it is for them to get the favor. Yeah, he's running 2 Censures, so that could stop it, but it could be a very swingy play, to be sure. So we'll see if Jokingly is always on the ABC. Always be crabbing. Yeah, for sure, Mittens. Court games definitely makes sense because you can't. He wasn't going to court games the mill, and he won't be able to use the card till later. Yeah, there it is. There's the court games, as chat was surmising, enabling him to possibly break. Now, interesting with just the Prodigy of Waves, I would consider. I think stat-wise it's the same both ways, but I would almost consider dishonoring the Prodigy instead of honoring my Keeper, because the Prodigy is going to be, barring any crabbing, going to be around for 2 more turns and going to be used in a lot more conflicts than the Keeper, but stat-wise ends up being the same thing. So we see the very excellent and only to become better with the new pack, Shrine Maiden come out. Shrine Maiden draws into nothing, actually, no spells, but discards a Forged Edict, a Court Games, and a Backhanded Compliment, which is not what Fleepa wanted to see hit the bin. So we see a Watch Commander go down on the Keeper Initiate. Not the traditional, not the most traditional of Watch Commander targets, but at the same time we now have a Honored Keeper with a Watch Commander, so a 4/4 Keeper Initiate, and you can Vanguard Warrior for more to keep it around even longer. So it's become quite a substantial character, probably the most powerful character on the board. Go Keeper Initiate. Oh, Hida Guardian got one. So is this just because it's a good, or are we going to see some crab action here? He's got the fate to do it. 5 cards in hand. No, Way of the Crab. We'll have to wait. It's going to happen this game or not. I mean, like we were talking before, it's a okay chance there was a censure anyway, but certainly Crab has done Crab things. I would not have imagined their board would look as solid as it does right now, especially on limited fade investment. So good job to Jokingly. Fleepa still has Prodigy, still has a good chance of getting it re-honored, and it's just an excellent character. Could buy into 2 of them, meaning Water Ring enables 2 substantial characters to stand. which is never bad. Has the mediator as well, which it doesn't surprise me that he buys. Crab does run to assassination almost always, so he doesn't want to overfade it, but the meta mediator is a big part of, I think, this Phoenix Scorpion Dishonored deck's game plan, because it wants to be as defensive as possible, and disincentivizing a whole conflict is about as defensive as you can get. And we also get the Adept of the Waves, so to give some covert that can't be challenged, at least politically. I mean, Crisis Breaker can always get around covert to another character. And we see bids of 1-1 again from both players. Heat of Guardians definitely proven his worth of getting that Vanguard Warrior fate. Now being able to give an outrageous +4/+4 to however, jokingly, is kept the Funeral Pyre around, which I think is really wise in this matchup. And in general, I know there's debate in the Crab community about how quick you chuck a Funeral Pyre if you are even playing them. But I think keeping around in this matchup is a really good idea, because you need that card draw, because bids are going to be at 1 for a long time. Okay, we see an attack on public forum to get rid of that. Got to get rid of that Forgotten Library with the Oathkeeper and the Crisis Breaker, which is a pretty strong political attack given this board. Heat of Guardian could have made it stronger, but he's also pretty valuable in defense. So no defense at all. Not enough for display of power, so it looks like we're going to see that Forgotten Library sent away. And the second break for Crab, which is, I think, pretty significant. Obviously not nearly as significant as the third, but Fleepa has lost one backhanded compliment to the Shrine Maiden. So that means, even if you manage to get the next 2, which is unlikely being only 12 cards in, he needs to get jokingly down to 2 honor somehow to win that way. So being up on breaks is pretty solid for Crab player at this point. And, and the boards are in similar situation. Hand size, Crab is actually up by 1. So I think it looks fairly good for Crab, but this Phoenix deck can really dig in, especially if they're running Kori Mori, which doesn't look like he is on the Stronghold. Some of them do. He's probably running Rally on the Stronghold, but even that will delay it a turn. So, okay, we see the Mediator come in and defense by Crab because they're not really looking to declare a second conflict this turn anyway. Defending with both here, again, the Heat of Guardian makes single defenses kind of awkward. You might as well defend with both. Kind of leaves you open to the second attack into Fertile Fields, which, it looks like we have a disconnect and a reconnect from Fleepa. Good thing. Hate for that to happen to the game. Fertile Fields is interesting. There's again another debate. Crabs obviously like to debate a lot between Fertile Fields and Manicured Gardens. And certainly I think it's a 50-50, and most Crabs agree whether they just want the cards or the money. I go Manicure myself, but certainly tried Fertile Fields. And in this matchup, Fertile Fields is definitely the one to have, especially if you can keep it alive for a couple rounds and get the attacks into it, as you did there for an extra card. Again, card draw being great. So this turn he's going to, off the Province and off the Funeral Pyre, he's probably going to be able to pull two cards, triple his card draw off the 1 bid. So I think Fleepa's probably thinking through whether he's going to leave a character standing for Cloud's the Crisis Breaker for his military attack, and he waited on that. That's obviously a lot of people would want to snap Cloud the Crisis Breaker if they had it, but very wise to wait, not let your opponent know to plan the rest of their turn. So I'll be interested to see whether Fleepa is going to let a character stand to ensure favor, or attack with both. Because if he attacks with both, he'll lose the favor, even if in the likely case he gets the ring. Oh no, he can go for water. I mean, he can attack water. No fates have rings, and then assure favor too, and attack with both. So he might be a water attack to do the same thing. Yeah, and we see the granting of the covert, which which is just a good habit, even though there's nothing to really covert. Maybe there's some sort of surprise attachment control for the Cloud the Mind or something. Yeah, a bit metal. I think you're right. I do in chat. I think the only win Connor is honor. I guess I was trying to be a little more neutral with this deck, but yeah, it's very focused on dishonoring the opponent. I mean, anything that's can use up deck space for backhanded compliment, I think, is pretty focused on that. So, and they'll get you eventually. I think. I think it's just a matter of time. Sukuni is going to hit the field if you can't grab her, etc. And the harmonizes and all types of other things. So you want to break not too, not take too many turns to break, and certainly jokingly set a good pace, but um, still a very close game. I mean, 6 honor, he's going to take an unopposed here. He could unopposed fire, would cost him 2 honor, which is pretty significant at this point. And if he has any sort of military buff, which I don't believe the deck even runs, possibly a charge, he could break this province. Oh, but attacking military, of course, crabs almost always running 3 charge, so they answer with a strong answer in Casada, who is still on, actually, even into the 3rd conflict this round. So, and Casada, charge Casada, Phenopyre, that's definitely stuff of crab dreams there to keep that character alive. Which mean, although it would mean you have to give up the Honored Keeper with the Watch Commander, but he'll probably still go for that. The Casada cancel is very powerful in the early game, especially when we're in a low card situation. Yep. So we see the Phenopyre. Did we see the Phenopyre used? Yep. Oh, Oathkeeper. Yep. So another card. So up to 7 cards. So 3 cards in the positive for jokingly over Fleepa is not usually how you see matchups against this deck go. I mean, certainly it's not impossible to get ahead of them on cards, but if you are and still at 7 honor, I think you're in decent shape. So we move into round 3. Phenopyre is kept. Again, wise decision. Another Forgotten Library pops up, so Fleepa gets access to more of his card draw. He gets, I mean, Mia Mystic's pretty weak at this point. He already has a Shigenja. He buys it. I guess he wants to get rid of any other Watch Commanders that might come back. A Reprieve, most likely, actually. Thinking about Reprieve on Casada. Be in a position to get rid of that. Borderlands Defender with 3, that's strong. Certainly is a really good character against a Faint Worse Death, and 3 Fate on it buttresses it even more. For Shame, which a deck with so many couriers is going to be running, won't work on the Borderlands Defender, etc. So I think it's a really strong buy in this matchup. So for buys, so could have him at no Fate, which when it signals he's going to buy another Adept of the Waves, or I mean he's going very wide with not much of a board remaining next turn, which is going to make defenses more difficult. Jokingly gets the Passing Fate. I mean, he certainly has a not as wide board, but it's stronger, so he'd be able to defend if he wants or attack fairly strongly. So I don't think he has to overinvest into characters at this point. So it's a 1-to-1 bid, and the Forgotten Library, of course, supplementing. So we have a 2-card advantage now for Jokingly over Free. 2 Broken Provinces for Crab, 0 for Phoenix. And first player token is in the hands of Phoenix to see what they want to do. Certainly, he's going to get Covert to the Adepts of Waves. Now, interesting who you want to covert. Like, you might want to take a political and covert Borderlands Defender, forcing if they want to block to be Casada or Crisis Breaker, which is not the best political blocker. No, it looks like it's coverting Casada, so military is potentially going to happen. We'll see. Yeah, P.M. Mittens is saying it looks good for Crab. Yeah, I would tend to agree. I mean, there's 4 Fate banked for free, so he can fill the board up again. But yeah, with his entire board going away, it's going to be rough because we'll have, let's see, 5. I mean, the Crisis Breaker's not worth a full 3 with the crowd, but we'll have like 8 Fate of board sticking around, barring any reprieves or rebuilds to make it even more. So okay, we see a big political water attack, coverting Casada, which is an interesting call, I think. because I think the Borderlands Defender would be a more natural defender of a political attack here. So jokingly decides not to defend, instead opting for more offense. He wants to attack into meditations, which I can understand. I guess not putting any fate on characters makes sense. For that, the other provinces that Crab might have had, if he wanted to go scouting, or defend the wall, which could be dangerous, I suppose, to attack into, and shameful display. So yeah, so meditations is certainly tempting, and you can see why he went with a fateless board in that case. But so Phoenix is going to get their first break of the game. Looks like here on undefended. So that's another pip of honor, but we're still at 6, which isn't too bad. And on a water. So, oh, of course. What am I thinking? Yes. The real reason you go for Casada, that was silly of me, is because he's the one that's going to be affected by the water ring. Yeah, that makes complete sense. The border defenders wouldn't, so you would just defend with Casada. So Casada does get, oh, we see a ready for battle, which is a clutch card for jokingly to have. So Casada's abilities turned off, but his 7 stats of big military beatstick are turned on by that ready for battle. So certainly a really good 0 fate 1 card investment there. And we have a Prodigy of the Waves who's probably not feeling particularly comfortable looking at the military onslaught that could be coming down on her right now. My guess would be it'll be military into that Forgotten Library, again, just to try to avoid having one free draw twice as many cards as he's able to. Well, he's got the Funeral Pyre. So I guess try to keep it so you're drawing twice as many cards as your opponent in this low bid situation, but we'll see. We have Fire's got a fate on it, but at the same time there's a keeper in the heap, so Earth is probably looking pretty juicy as well, with cards 7 to 6. So we'll see what he goes for. Goes for the cash, or goes for the keeper and the cards, or something else. Yep, definitely serious about this military break. Goes in with strength 10 into Before the Throne. Yeah, it's going to happen. Happens eventually that you have to face giving up that 2 honor on the fire ring. Yeah, so you went for the cash, which isn't bad because you want to incentivize opponents attacking on your keeper roll if you can to get greedy for that fate, but. And certainly honoring up Casada so you don't lose a fate when if he goes away is a good thing. So I think Fleepa sees the writing on the wall with this attack. Doesn't bother defending with the 1 strength. Prodigy of the Waves. You can always defend the second weaker attack. Oh, Display of Power. Being used. So he's going to he's going to honor his Prodigy of the Waves for this turn, go for longer term investment, and dishonor that Borderlands Defender. I don't know. Prodigies be something I consider just because you probably plan on using it in 2 conflicts this turn. But it's only for this turn. So yeah. Takes 2 honor away, so we have a down to 4 honor. For jokingly, 2 display power still left in the deck somewhere, deck/hand. Sorry, backhanded compliment still left. Yeah, I agree with you, Mittens. I don't think that the second conflict will be used. I mean, you're extremely unlikely to break the province on political. I don't even know if he's running fans. Oh yeah, no, he has 3 running fans. But yeah, it's unlikely, and you don't want to face an unopposed heir at this point. So you could attack heir, I suppose, if you're confident of winning and grab 2. That wouldn't be bad. Yep. So it goes for the longer term plan and dishonors the Borderlands Defender, which I think is reasonable because if Fleepa is going to win this game, he's not going to win it next turn or even the turn after that. Probably he's probably going to have to dig in for a longer game. Do lots of defense and get those backhanded compliments and whittle away the honor to make it work. Oh, right, the mediator. Yeah, thank you, chat. Yeah, the mediator means you don't want to attack for sure. So yeah, you want to avoid the unopposed, not give the mediator its tax, and should be, I mean, Crab with 7 cards in hand and the defender not being susceptible, well, there's no courtier in play, should be able to defend this attack fairly easily. So Prodigy may go scouting and then stand itself just to super ensure favor. Nope, back to Fertile Fields. Yeah, I guess given the alternatives of Shameful and Defend the Wall, Fertile Fields is your best bet. So he's forcing the defense, but he's giving, I believe Fertile Fields hasn't been used, yeah, this round. So I don't know, what does chat think about that? I mean, you're forcing the defense, but at the same time, you didn't get any ring, you didn't get anything off that ring, and you're giving your opponent a card here off the province. So interesting. Yeah, there's no bonsai or military buffs in Fleepa's deck, so I'm not sure who would have been able to win this. Without the katana box, yeah, without the katana and the phoenix box, he could equalized it even with the crab box. So yeah, I can see. So the Mia Mystic is used to get rid of that katana, meaning that the Prodigy is now winning the conflict thanks to the Phoenix box and the Dishonored Borderlands Defender. Again, moving the Borderlands Defender was a wise one because every turn he's going to be able to pump that Borderlands Defender down to a 0/0. Oh, we see a charge to bring Crisis Breaker into play. Making it 1/3 and possibly up to 5 for the defender in the box. Given complete lack of military buffs on Phoenixes, I don't think they're going to win this conflict at this point. Conflict character, yes, perhaps, but again, that wouldn't be enough either. So is there a reprieve for the Casada? Would be an interesting question. Or a rebuild into that iron mine. Because now the Crisis Breaker can be pired. And next turn, yeah, is going to be a blank board going and Crab going first into the stronghold. Of course, his rally, so you don't necessarily want to have their big attack in there, but at least they can pull off the poke and poke attack, which they can actually do now because Phoenix is out of attacks, so they could just pop rally now with the Borderlands Defender, which is standing off a mountain, does not fall. It is currently 0/0. It's a 0/0 character thanks to the Phoenix box, but it could still be used to poke and pop rally, which might be a good thing to do, opening up first turn big military attack next turn. So we'll see. Yep, that's exactly what we see jokingly do. He wants to get the rally annoyance out of the way on a meaningless attack. Earth, strength 0, fairly easily defended, and especially with favor. Even re-honoring. Actually, no, if he was able to re-honor that Borderland Defender, then he could certainly win the conflict. We'll see if he has court games. Yep, Phoenix goes to Funeral Pyre. We see a reprieve on Casada, which will be, spells a lot of trouble for Phoenix next turn. Phoenix does win that conflict, but going into next round, we have a blank Phoenix board with 10 fate. And Crab has 10 fate plus a Borderlands Defender and Casada and a Crisis Breaker. Clouded, yes, but standing 12 military strength waiting to go on the stronghold. So we'll see what Fleepa can do to swing this one around. Oh yeah, good point. it was a significant tax on the mediator to drop to 3 honor next turn. Again, odds are, there's maybe one backhanded compliment in the hand. I mean, certainly if there's two, and somehow this flips around and loses on dishonor, it would be unfortunate. But I think odds would be that that's not um, a legitimate issue at this point. Okay, so Fleepa, unfortunately, with 10 fate, pops a storehouse and a keeper and 2 cheap characters. While on the other side, Token League's flop is a lot better. He gets access to Witch Hunters, multiple. He buys one with 2 fate, which certainly as Crab, you always like your character to stick around. 2 fate seems like a lot at this point, but certainly I think 1 is probably a good idea, so why not 2? Kaiju Envoy, Shujisugi for some more draw. He did dump the Pyre last turn to get characters to spend that 10 fate, which certainly seemed to have worked out for them. So we have a very large board for Crab, staring down an already popped Rally, and a Solemn Scholar, and a Naive Student. So plays Waning Hostilities by the Phoenix player, which certainly I'm sure he would have liked to see up much earlier. And so they can only just got 1 each. But Crab's going first. Crab has 2, 6, 7, 8, 15, 18, I believe 18 military on board to attack into the 1/1 Solemn Scholar. There very well may be a Fate Worth to Death or something like that to throw a kink in the plan, but he has much more than the 6 he needs to break the stronghold here. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, all in attack. Defense by the Solemn Scholar. Pops the Storehouse for additional card. So we got 6 cards in the Crab hand and 5 cards in the Phoenix player's hand. Ahita Kasada cancels an assassination. So we'll see what the... Interesting, on a military attack, I wonder if he meant to do that. He certainly has enough honor to cancel the assassination, but the box... Oh no, the box is definitely relevant because of the dishonor characters on the Phoenix side, even during military, so... The box is worth 2 strength. Plays Mono Noire, which certainly will hurt the Crab board a lot next turn, but it cycles himself into another card this turn. So we'll see if he pulls anything relevant to help with this battle. Still 18-2, so he needs another 11 military strength, either from his attacker or on his side. There's Policy Debate, which is a 1-to-1 policy debate. 1-to-0 policy debate, yeah. Which ends in a draw. That might have been a bait to see if if the Kaiju Envoy would go for a 2 to try to win that, give up some honor, but we don't have a keeper in play for the Yusuke, but I don't know if that's really bothering Joker Lee that much. Shrine Maiden drops in. Shrine Maiden discards Court Games, Charge, and Assassination. Wow, Shrine Maidens have been a little rough this game. There's not a ton of spells in, especially since he's used 2 Display of Powers left in the deck. I mean, he's probably, against the Wave's not going to help him. Harmonize might. That's probably the only thing he could have gotten there. But the Shrine Maidens didn't pull any spells, 2 of them in this game. Crab continues to pass, as you do. And the Stronghold breaks. Good game by both players. Crab handled their bids and their honor very well there, and certainly did some really good plays to break provinces. But then again, in next turn, I mean, with Kasada possibly leaving, if there was no rebuild or reprieve, then we'd be down to 1 honor for jokingly, going into next round. So certainly he got the breaks, and he had a good game plan to get breaks quickly, and wrapped it up. Yeah, they're talking in the chat that jokingly is wondering if he had the backhanded compliment, because he could win this round with one backhanded compliment if he couldn't keep Casada around. Although he did win on air, so he was one of those things where either he won that conflict, or somehow if Phoenix had pulled it out, he would have had enough. He could have got to air and bought himself a lot of rounds, and with the board advantage he had, he would have got the break eventually. So. Okay. Thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully, I wasn't talking to myself for an hour there. And yeah, it was a pleasure to stream for you guys. And good luck to Jokini in his future rounds. And thanks. And excellent job by Fleepa to get this far. Bye.